Good morning, period 3 or period 4, distance learners for science in 7th grade. This is a screencast to explain what you are doing on Monday or Tuesday. I am out training some teachers from around the country actually today and Tuesday. So I want to make sure that you know what you are supposed to do in your distance learning class today. So this is not something to get around to. This is what you're supposed to do today in class. So first thing you're going to do is access Google Classroom. Make sure you go to the correct period. This is period 3. And make your way to the classwork tab. For iPads, it's down lower. You'll make your way to classwork tab, find the week of 12-14. Don't hunt for it in the stream. It's under the classwork. Week of 12-14, there's only one thing there for you right now, and that is bath bomb final model and explanation. We're kind of wrapping up this bath bomb unit. So there are two things, two documents. As you read the instructions, this model and explanation assessment is an opportunity for you to share your understanding. Resources you can use include your science notebook, our key model ideas, handouts, digital for you, and other materials from the bath bomb unit. So think back, look through your notebook, all of those things. This is an individual assignment, and we're going to do it in class this week. For you, that means Monday, period 3, or Tuesday, period 4. Something to pay attention to the Gotta Have It checklist that's on the document, and this attached rubric. Okay, so before we open this, I'm going to give you a quick review of some of the things we've thought about. Okay, so last week when we were together, we learned some new things. So in addition to our key model ideas all around the room and in your notebook, we recently figured out last week chemical reaction. We added that word to our vocabulary. In a chemical reaction, the amount of matter at the beginning, the reactants, is the same amount of matter at the end in the products. Nothing disappears. It's all accounted for somewhere. This is because all of the atoms we started with are still there. We didn't make any new atoms, and we didn't make any disappear. They're all around somewhere. So no new atoms can appear that weren't there to start with. When we looked at our table about our consensus model and what we should add last week, we added a couple of new things based on your input. So you thought that our model should have actual molecules with atoms, what we start with and what we end with, right? Inputs and outputs, and how the starting molecules are broken apart and rearranged to form the resulting molecules on the output side. You also thought that we should have something in our model about the number of atoms and the type of atoms. How you respond to that will be sort of up to you. You had your asynchronous work, or as we finished up, we thought, well, what needs to be in our model? What do we absolutely gotta have to have a really solid model of what's going on with these ingredients from a bath bomb and us getting a new substance from 3 old substances? So we took everybody's ideas from all the periods and put them together in this Gotta Have It checklist. So things we need to be sure are included in our model are labels. That was very common. A key that tells us what's going on. We needed specific input molecules or atoms, or the atoms that make them up. And specifically, what output molecules were we getting? Like it said here, you thought we needed to deal with the number and type of atoms. So the number and type of atoms on the input and output side, something about the number is important. And what happens to the atoms during the reaction? What's going on with them, right? So that was the Gotta Have It checklist. This is the template for your model, okay? And I'm going to show you the document now, so it will all be clear for you. So we're back to our bath bomb final model and explanation. Remember, we got here by going to our Google Classroom week of 12-14, clicking on bath bomb final model. And you have your name, first name, last name, what period. This is period 3 or 4 for distance. And then you have a couple of quick questions. Think carefully. Don't rush through this to be done. Okay, read carefully, use your resources. Okay, so you're going to make a selection here, then you're going to explain your selection. Then it says review the gotta have it checklist. For your model, it's going to show how when we mix water, baking soda, and citric acid, we can end up with substances that were not there before. So what are we mixing again? Water, baking soda, citric acid. How do we end up with something that wasn't there before, and how can our model show that? Remember, our model needs to have these things at least. And then there's an easy question. Yes, I've reviewed the gotta have it checklist. So now, the meat of your day, using the template, this template here, you're going to have to draw that in your notebook unless you're able to print it somehow, but I would draw it in your notebook because it's very basic. Draw your model in your notebook that shows how when we mix water, baking soda, and citric acid, we can end up with substances that weren't there before. And then when you're all done, so I would say take your time, remember the gotta have it checklist. Color might be nice, not required. But you have inputs, outputs, and what's going on during. Like, this can be fairly basic. Just let us know what's happening, either words and pictures. If there's 3 spots for 3 substances, you might think about what's up here. Okay? So when you're all done with your model that shows what it's asking you to, click Add File. Well, actually, you'll take a photo of your model with your iPad. Then you'll click Add File, and it will say select files from your device or select from your photo album on the iPad, and then you'll quickly upload your photo. Okay? Then you still have the photo in your notebook or the model in your notebook. Using your model, explain, that's words, how carbon dioxide can be produced from water, baking soda, and citric acid. Your model should help you with this explanation. It may be helpful to refer to your model. It will be helpful. But be sure to include specific molecules, the atoms that make them up, any key model ideas that support your explanation, right? You're explaining, using your model, how we can end up with carbon dioxide when we start with these 3 different things. What's going on? Okay? And then when you're all done, you'll submit. But I want to remind you, before you submit, in Google Classroom, there is a rubric for your model. So you might want to check that before you submit, or even as you're doing your model, right? Does it contain all the appropriate input molecules or atoms? Do you have all the output molecules or atoms that you feel like we might need? Does your model refer to or demonstrate the number of atoms, something about that happening? Did you do the during part? And is it accurately sort of described? And then did you label everything, and do you have a key? Okay, so, and then of course your score goes down the less you have of those kinds of things. So I'm very confident. I think you will do well if you take your time, use all the things you've learned, including your notebook. Okay, so when you're all done, you're going to hit submit. Okay, and that is your classwork for Monday or Tuesday of this week. If you happen to finish with some time, many of you still need to finish the gizmos. Looks like 5 of us have turned in the gizmos. That means 11 of us have not. And the John Dalton, looks like we need a few more people to turn that one in as well. 5 new people have turned it in. That's good. I'll score that soon. Okay. So again, your job, go to Google Classroom, carefully review your materials, and complete the bath bomb final model and explanation. Then we will do a little bit more. There's a little bit of a quiz on Thursday or Friday when I see you, and then we'll get your information about what do you think we want to learn next. Okay? Take your time. You will do fine. Thank you very much.